The silence before the scream. In the cold darkness between stars, an old machine woke up. It had slept for 10,000 years. Dust and ice covered its metal body. Ancient lights began to glow again. One by one, blue lights blinked on its surface. Then, a strange sound echoed through the galaxy. A signal. It was not a message of peace. It was a scream for help. Far away, deep in a space sector forgotten by time, Captain Elric sat in his small exploration ship, the Iron Eye. He was a simple man, not a hero, not a soldier. He was a scout. His job was to find lost planets, mark safe paths, and return home. He had no idea his next mission would change the fate of the galaxy. Elric looked out the window. Stars were everywhere. Empty space, quiet and still. He liked the silence. It felt peaceful. Suddenly, the silence broke. A loud beep echoed from his ship's main console. "That's not normal," Elric whispered. He turned to the screen. Strange symbols appeared. They were old, older than any language known to humans. The ship's computer could not translate them. "What is this?" he asked. He pressed a few buttons. The signal was repeating itself over and over. Then the sound changed. It was like a whisper, but not from the ship. It came from somewhere else. Elric stood up, confused and alert. "Can you hear me?" A soft voice spoke in his head. He froze. Who are you?" he said out loud, even though he knew the voice wasn't coming from any speaker. "We are dying," the voice said. "We are so many. We are so afraid. Please, help us." His hands shook. He didn't understand how this was happening. Humans had advanced tech, yes, but nothing like this. Telepathic messages were not real, or so he thought. Then the voice disappeared. Silence again. Only the stars. Elric sat down slowly. He looked at the screen. The signal was still there, pulsing like a heartbeat. He opened the ship's log and began recording. "This is Captain Elric of the Iron Eye. I have just received a strange signal. Unknown origin, possibly ancient. Message contains a warning, or a cry for help. I don't know what to do, but I think I need to follow it." He paused. "I feel something. Something is pulling me." Back on the central worlds of the United Galactic Council, powerful alien leaders sat in their tall towers. When the signal reached their systems, they all saw the same thing, ancient symbols and a warning of great danger. They talked. They debated. They argued. But in the end, they did nothing. "It's not our problem," said one. "The danger is too far away," said another. "We will wait," said the third. And so, all across the galaxy, ships stayed docked, warriors stayed home, and fear spread quietly through the stars. No one moved. No one helped. Except one human. Captain Elric followed the signal. Alone. His ship jumped through hyperspace, deeper and deeper into uncharted territory. The stars looked different here, older, colder. Then, he found it. The beacon. It was huge, bigger than a city, floating in dead space, surrounded by broken ships, debris, and silence. He approached slowly. Is this where the voice came from? He wondered. As he got closer, the beacon lit up again. A long beam of blue light shot out and connected with his ship. His console went black. Then green letters appeared, one by one. "You are the first to answer. You are not enough. But you are hope. Prepare yourself." Then everything went silent again. Elric sat still. He didn't know what this meant. He didn't know what would come next. But deep in his heart, he felt something strange. It was fear, and something else. Responsibility. He turned the ship around and opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "This is Captain Elric. I found something. Something big. The galaxy is calling for help, and no one is answering. We need to act. We can't ignore this. Not this time." Then he looked at the stars ahead. And he whispered, "Why me?" But somewhere, far beyond the stars, the voice whispered back, "Because you are human." The Council of Cowards. The beacon's message traveled faster than light, like a storm sweeping across the stars. It reached the outer colonies of the Zarelian swarm. Their elders heard the signal, but their ships stayed cold. It passed through the crystal sky cities of the Velary. Their leaders watched the ancient code but chose to remain silent. It echoed across the massive sky hive of the Draxar warlords, and even they, a race known only for blood and war, turned away in fear. Soon, the Emergency Council of the United Galactic Powers was called. 12 races, 12 voices, one shared fear. The meeting was held inside a hollowed-out moon, floating in neutral space. A massive chamber built to discuss peace and survival now trembled with silence and unease. A hologram of the signal pulsed at the center of the table. The symbols glowed red, a heartbeat of doom. "This is old tech," hissed the snake-like Skarn ambassador. "Too old to matter. It is probably a trap." "It is not a trap," replied a tall silver figure, the ambassador of the Velary. "It is worse. This is a warning. From something we thought was extinct." "Then we must hide," said another voice. "Seal off sectors. Protect our worlds." "Hide," shouted the blue-scaled warrior from the Draxar. "Is this what we are now? Cowards with crowns?" A strange silence followed his words. No one replied. In a corner seat, young Ambassador Lyra of the Illyri race sat quietly. She was not powerful. She was not feared. But she had seen the ancient records of her people, and she recognized the signal. It came from the time before the First War, before the galaxy had order, before even the First Council. "We can't ignore this," she said softly. No one listened. They moved to vote, and as they did, something happened. A power outage. For 2 seconds, all the lights went out. And in that darkness, something spoke. Not with sound, but with pressure. A deep feeling inside every heart. Something was watching them. When the lights came back on, no one said anything about it. No one admitted they felt it. But all of them voted the same way. We do nothing. The council ended. The galaxy returned to its silence. But Lyra could not stay quiet. She returned to her private ship, shaking. "They will let us all die," she whispered. She activated a private, illegal channel, one only used in ancient emergencies. It could not be traced. "Searching," her console said. Connected. A face appeared, human, worn, tired, but focused. "Captain Elric." "Who is this?" he asked. "My name is Lyra," she said. "I am an ambassador, and I know you received the beacon." "Yes," Elric said. "I followed it. Found the beacon. It spoke to me." "What did it say?" she asked, leaning forward. "That I was the first to answer," he replied. "That I'm not enough, but I'm hope." Lyra stared at him, her voice lowered. "Do you know what's coming?" "No," Elric said. "But I can feel it, like something hiding behind a curtain. Watching." Lyra nodded slowly. "They're called the Devourers. They are not like other species. They don't conquer. They consume. Stars, planets, minds, everything. And now, they are awake." Elric took a breath. "Why didn't your council act?" "Because they are afraid," she said. "They think hiding will save them. But it won't. Once the Devourers come, no wall can stop them. They do not destroy because they hate. They destroy because it is their nature." There was silence between them. Then Elric asked, "What do you want from me?" Lyra's eyes glowed softly. "I want to help you. I want to stop them, even if no one else stands with us." "We're just 2, Elric said. "2 is more than 0, she replied. He looked at her, then nodded. "Then we begin now." Suddenly, a red alarm flashed on Elric's ship. "Incoming object," the computer said. "Unknown vessel approaching." He looked out the window. A black ship. No lights. No sound. Just shadows moving like liquid on its surface. It was watching. And then, it vanished. No hyperspace jump. No engine flare. Just gone. Elric felt a chill go down his spine. "They know," he whispered. "They know we're awake." Lyra replied with only one word. "Run." But it was already too late. The first step into darkness. Darkness filled the window of Elric's ship. Not the kind of darkness that comes from space. This was different. Thicker. Heavier. Alive. The black ship had vanished, but something about the space it left behind was wrong. A thin layer of static covered the sensors. The air felt colder, and the stars in that direction no longer twinkled. Captain Elric sat still in the cockpit, staring. His hand hovered over the engine controls. "Do we run?" he whispered to himself. Then he remembered Lyra's voice. Run. He didn't wait. The ship jumped to light speed. But even in that high-speed blur, a question burned in his mind. Was that ship really gone? Or was it still following? Far away, inside the private chambers of the Ilari diplomat cruiser, Lyra was not sitting. She was pacing, fast, her fingers glowing with quiet energy. Her people were known for wisdom, but she felt nothing but fear now. Her private system displayed old records. Forbidden ones. She had hacked into ancient archives, searching for anything on the Devourers. Every old tale matched what Elric had described. Black ships, soundless movement, the cold feeling, the pressure inside your chest. But one file was different. It had no sound. Only a drawing, an old star map. And on the edge of it, beyond the known systems, a planet marked with a red hand symbol, the symbol of warning. The file was labeled in 3 alien languages. Only one word was common across them all. Origin. Meanwhile, Elric exited hyperspace. His ship dropped into a strange region. The stars were dim. Nearby, a planet floated like a quiet ghost. Its surface was broken, like something had taken a bite out of it. "Computer," Elric said. "Where are we?" "Sector unknown. No previous mapping exists." Elric checked his coordinates. He hadn't entered them. The ship had brought him here, by itself. "Was this you?" he asked the ship's eye. But the eye said nothing, just a soft humming sound. Then the beacon signal returned, but it was different now. Faster, louder, and mixed with crying. The sound of many voices whispering at once. "We see you. We remember. We wait." The ship's lights flickered. Outside the window, a light blinked on the planet's surface. Just one. As if something was calling him. He landed. Dust rose around the ship like mist. The planet was silent. No animals. No wind. Only stillness. Elric stepped out, wearing a reinforced suit. He held a pulse scanner in one hand, a torch in the other. As he moved through the broken terrain, he saw strange shapes carved into the rock, humanoid, but twisted, like they were drawn in fear. Then he found the ruin, half buried in ash and stone, an entrance to an underground chamber. He moved inside. The walls were covered in writing. So many languages, all saying the same word. They are hunger. As he moved deeper, he found a room. It had no roof. Moonlight poured in from above. In the center, a small alien child sat, shaking. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes, pure white. Her arms had cuts glowing faint blue. She looked at Elric and spoke in a whisper. "You are late." Elric knelt down. "Who are you?" "I'm the only one left," she said. "They took my people, fed on our minds. They do not kill like others. They erase." Elric's voice cracked. "Why did they leave you?" "Because I saw them," she said. "I saw the true shape. I heard the name." Elric felt his blood turn cold. "Tell me." The girl looked up at the stars. And she said, "They are the memory eaters. The galaxy forgot them, Because they made us forget. Suddenly, Elric's scanner beeped. Strong energy signatures. Moving. They're here, the girl whispered. The ground trembled. Above, black shapes circled the ruined sky. Elric grabbed the girl and ran back toward his ship. But as they moved, the shadows chased them. No footsteps, no sound, only motion. They reached the ship just as a pulse of dark energy fired behind them, burning a hole in the rock. Inside the ship, the girl pressed her hand to the control panel, and the ship flew. Fast. Too fast. Elric looked at her. What did you do? I remembered something your kind forgot, she said. What? How to fight them. Meanwhile, in a hidden part of the galaxy, deep in a metal tomb floating between dead stars, a figure opened its eyes. Its body was not flesh. It was made of code and armor, memory and hate, and it spoke in a voice that echoed through time. A human has seen us again. It begins. 1,000 black ships rose from the darkness. Not flying, awakening, shadows with no name. The ship moved faster than it ever had before. Elric didn't know how. He didn't even touch the controls. The little silver-skinned girl sat beside him, eyes closed, her hand pressed against the ship's core terminal. Glowing blue energy pulsed through her fingers, sensing with the machine like they were one. Elric stared at her, stunned. What are you doing? He asked. She opened her eyes slowly. I'm opening memories your ship didn't know it had. What does that mean? It means your ship was built to forget, just like your species. Outside, space twisted. Stars bent sideways. Colors flashed that had no name. And behind them came the shadows. Hundreds, maybe thousands, black ships. Not flying like normal vessels, floating like they swam through gravity itself. No lights, no engines, only shifting patterns on their surface, like living nightmares crawling in silence. Inside one of those ships, something watched, not with eyes, but with thought. It saw Elric. It saw the girl, and it remembered. This one resists. Again. They are chasing us, Elric said. Can you outrun them? The girl didn't answer. Instead, she opened a small compartment in her belt and pulled out a memory crystal, something ancient, full of stored knowledge. I was meant to carry this, she said. My people made me the last librarian. Librarian? Elric asked. Our minds were our weapons, she said softly. But we forgot. And now the Devourers are making the galaxy forget again. If they catch me, all memory dies. Suddenly, the ship jerked. The lights flickered. Contact. The ship's computer warned. Something has attached to the hull. Elric jumped up and grabbed a pulse rifle. Stay here, he shouted. But the girl grabbed his hand. Don't shoot. You can't kill it. Then what do we do? You must see it. Truly see it. What does that mean? Before he could argue, the lights went out. Total darkness. Not just visual. Sound too. As if the whole universe had taken a breath and held it. Elric floated in silence. Then the sound came. Not a voice. Not a scream. Just a slow, crawling whisper. We are already inside you. Suddenly, Elric found himself standing, not in his ship, but in a memory. His childhood. A field of dry grass. A sky with 2 suns. His mother's voice calling him. Then, silence. He turned around, and she was gone. Everything was gone. He stood alone in a black void, and something stood behind him. He turned, slowly. It was a version of himself, but wrong. Its face was twisted. Its skin had symbols crawling under it like insects. You forgot, it said. Forgot what? Elric whispered. You saw them once before. Elric's eyes widened. A flash. A dream he had as a child. A black shape outside his window. A cold feeling in his heart. His parents said it was just a bad dream. But it wasn't. They visited me, Elric whispered. When I was a boy. And they let you live, the shadow Elric said. Because you were not ready. Why now? Because now, you are. He gasped, falling back into the ship. Lights returned. The girl was still there, holding the crystal. What did you see? She asked. Myself, he whispered, but wrong. Like something infected. They test you before they take you, she said. If you break, they erase. If you fight, they mark you. So, I'm marked. She nodded. That's why you could hear the beacon. That's why you're the first human to remember them. Remember what? The Devourers were not always monsters, she said quietly. They were once the guardians of time. They held the galaxy's oldest knowledge. But they stared into the deepest void too long, and the void stared back. And now they consume, Elric finished. Yes, and now they are hungry again. Just then, the ship's alarm screamed. Object approaching, too fast to calculate. Elric rushed to the screen. A massive shadow was rising in front of them. A structure. A living fortress in space. A place with no shape, only presence. That's one of their harvesters, the girl said. They drop them near worlds to drink memories before invasion. What happens if we get pulled in? You forget who you are, she said. And then, you become part of it. Elric took the controls. We're not running this time. The girl looked shocked. You can't fight it. I'm not going to fight it, Elric said. I'm going inside. Why? Because if they know me, then maybe I can learn how to break them. The girl looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, she smiled. Then we go together. As the ship flew toward the massive shadow, the stars behind them began to dim. Not because they moved away, but because the Devourers were coming forward, from every corner of space. For the first time in ages, the Devourers had a name to fear again. Human, the Forgotten Forge. The ship touched the edge of the harvester. There was no sound, no impact, just stillness, as if space itself had stopped breathing. Elric looked out the window. The shadow fortress wasn't metal. It was something else, a mix of rock, dust, and organic texture, like a dead planet turned inside out. It pulsed slowly, like a living heart. We're here, he said. The little silver-skinned girl nodded. She pressed the memory crystal into the ship's terminal again. A blue glow spread through the ship, forming a shield. This will protect your thoughts, she said. From what? From forgetting who you are. The ship entered the harvester, and immediately, time broke. Elric blinked. He was standing in a field. Not in space. Not on the ship. A field of red grass under a green sky. It was his home. Again. A memory. But wrong. Everything was twisted. People walked backwards. The sun blinked like an eye. In the sky, a black shape circled, like a vulture made of smoke. Stay focused, the girl's voice echoed. This place will show you everything you want, and then take it away. Elric clenched his fists. Not this time, he whispered. They moved through the harvester's inner halls. None of it was solid. Walls became memories. Doors became emotions. A hallway of childhood fears. A stairwell of guilt. A chamber filled with voices. His own voice. Screaming mistakes he barely remembered. Why is this place like a mind? Elric asked. Because it feeds on minds, the girl said. It builds its body from what it consumes. Suddenly, the floor cracked. Elric fell down into a pit of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of him. One weak, one cruel, one afraid, one dead. They are trying to break your sense of self, the girl called down. Choose who you really are. Elric closed his eyes and said, I'm not perfect. I'm not brave. But I'm human, and I remember. The mirrors shattered. The pit vanished. He stood again. Stronger. The harvester pulsed, angrily. At the core of the fortress, they found it. A forge, not made of fire and iron, but of thought. It floated in space, surrounded by rings of frozen memory. Fragments of songs, laughter, wars, poems, screams, all trapped in glowing memory orbs. "This is where the devourers twist what they take," the girl whispered. "They change memories, erase the meaning, make the past into nothing." Elric stepped forward. His hand brushed against an orb. Suddenly, he saw an alien city, tall towers, green skies, children playing. Then darkness, shadows falling from the sky, memories turning to ash. He pulled his hand back, shaking. This was your home." The girl nodded. "They ate our joy first, then our names, then our faces. I escaped because I held on to one thing." "What?" "Hope." At the center of the forge, a black stone floated. It hummed. "Alive." "That's not part of the devourers," the girl said. "Then what is it?" "Something older." They approached. The stone glowed as they neared. It spoke, not in words, but in a wave of feeling. "You are not devourers. You are fragments. Survivors." "Can you help us?" Elric asked. "You hold the key." A beam of light shot from the stone into Elric's chest. Visions poured into his mind. A time long ago, when the devourers were guardians, protectors of time and memory. But they made a mistake. They tried to erase a war by erasing the memory of it, and when they did, they lost themselves. They became hunger. Now, they don't remember why they consume. They only remember the act. And they spread that forgetting like a virus. The vision faded. Elric fell to his knees, breathing hard. The girl helped him up. "Did you see it?" He nodded. "Then you saw the weapon too," she said. "Yes," he said. "But it's not a gun. It's not a bomb." "No," she said. "It's something only humans can carry." He looked confused. "What is it?" She stepped back. "Memory." The forge opened. A path appeared. One last chamber. Inside, a seat and a machine. "What is this?" Elric asked. "A memory seeder," the girl replied. "It sends a chosen memory to every mind in the galaxy. So if we can remind every species who they were before the devourers erased them, maybe they'll remember how to fight." Elric looked at the seat. "But it needs a memory strong enough to burn through the dark." The girl looked at him. "You have that memory." Elric stepped forward, heart racing, and he sat down. The machine closed around him. His last memory before the light filled the chamber was his mother's voice, singing to him under the twin suns, a song of home. Outside, in space, the harvester screamed. A beam of light shot out of it. And across the stars, people began to remember. A soldier remembered why he fought. A scientist remembered why she studied. A child remembered the face of his father. A Draxor general dropped his weapon and looked at the stars with tears. And the devourers paused. For the first time in 1,000,000 years, they remembered being something else. The stand of the few. The memory waves spread faster than light. From the broken ruins of forgotten moons to the golden towers of hidden worlds, it reached minds that had been empty for generations. Soldiers woke from centuries of fear. Scientists opened dusty books they thought were myths. Children cried for parents they never knew, until now. Everywhere, the devourer's silence cracked like glass. The past had returned. But not all the devourers fell. Some twisted in pain. Others screamed without sound. And one began to speak. In the dark space between galaxies, a massive devourer hive stirred. It was older than time, larger than planets. Its core pulsed with stolen thoughts. Inside it, a figure stood still. Black armor, no face, but eyes filled with storms. It had once been a guardian. Then a devourer. Now, it remembered. Its name had been lost. But one word echoed in its mind. Elric. Back on the ship, Elric gasped. The machine around him had opened. He was pale, shaking. The memory seed had left him drained, but he was still alive. You did it, the girl whispered. He nodded weakly. But it's not enough, he said. They're waking, but not all of them want to be saved. Then we fight, she said. The beacon, the same ancient machine that started it all, suddenly lit up across space again. But this time, it didn't scream. It sang, a melody of many voices, human, Ilari, Veluri, Draxar, Zerelian, a call to arms. And races who had once hidden now prepared. Ships that had been locked away were powered up again. Weapons, once feared, were unburied. A small fleet began to form. The first in 1,000 years. Humans, aliens, hybrids, even machines. A few. Just a few. But enough to make a stand. Inside the devourer hive, the awakened guardian, now caught between memory and hunger, looked at the stars. They remember, it whispered. A smaller devourer floated nearby. Mindless. Empty. We must stop them, it said. No, the guardian replied. We must join them. But the devourer lunged. A clash of shadows and lightning. One wanted to change. The other wanted to consume. And across space, others began to choose sides. Devourers turned against devourers. Light against dark. Elric stood before the growing allied fleet. He had been named commander, though he had never led more than a scouting crew. Now ships waited for his voice. A human general appeared on screen. We have just enough power to reach the hive, she said. After that, it's a one-way trip. Elric looked to the girl. She nodded. The hive is where the heart of forgetting lives, she said. If we destroy that, they fall. And if we fail, he asked. She looked away. Then memory dies forever. The ships moved. They passed gas giants, burning stars, fields of wreckage from wars that no one remembered. Until now. And then, they saw it. The hive. Floating in nothing. Larger than anything they had ever seen. Not built. Grown. Around it, a storm of devourers. Some attacking. Some defending. A war among the monsters. Elric spoke through the fleet-wide channel. We were told we were weak. Alone. Small. But look at us now. We remember. And that makes us powerful. This is not just a battle for today. It's a battle for every story ever told, every child ever born, every name whispered in the dark. So hold the line. If we fall, let it be with our names on fire. Let them remember who we are. The battle began. The Allied fleet dove forward. Plasma beams and pulse cannons lit up space like a new sun. Devourers twisted and screamed, sending waves of darkness across the battlefield. Some ships vanished, swallowed by living shadows, but others fought harder. The Draxar warlord rammed his ship straight into a devourer's mouth, screaming victory as he went. The Valeri activated psychic shields, protecting entire squadrons with their minds. Lyra's people chanted an old hymn, one that made the devourers tremble. And Elric flew straight toward the hive's heart. Inside the hive, the awakened guardian waited. It had chosen, and when Elric arrived, it lowered its weapon. You are the key, it said. I can't destroy the core, but you can. Why me? Because you still believe. Elric walked into the heart chamber. At the center, a black crystal pulsed. This was the seed of forgetting. If destroyed, the devourers would lose their power. But if it resisted, he would be lost forever. Elric looked back at the girl. She smiled. You're not alone. Together, they stepped forward. The core screamed. A wave of darkness rushed toward them. But the girl raised the memory crystal, and Elric closed his eyes. He thought of his mother, his first love, his first failure, his dreams, his regrets, his people, his world, his name. And then he touched the core. Echoes of a hero. When Elric touched the core, the darkness screamed. Not like a beast, not like a machine, but like a dying god. The hive shook, space rippled, stars flickered. The black crystal at the center of the hive turned white, then red, then clear, as if it had never been dark at all. Memories poured into the light. Billions of lost voices. Laughs, cries, songs, promises, goodbyes. They rushed out in every direction, like waves crashing against time itself. And then, silence. Pure silence. No war, no screams, no devourers. Just stillness. When the Allied fleet looked again, the hive was gone. Nothing remained. No wreckage. No bodies. Only peace. Inside the ship, the girl opened her eyes. She was alone. "Elric?" she whispered. But no answer came. She ran through the ship. Every room. Every corner. No one. Only a folded piece of memory cloth on the command seat, glowing faint blue. She picked it up. His name was stitched into it. Not with thread. With light. And a single message floated above it. "Remember me." She held it close. And cried without a sound. Back on her homeworld, rebuilt from ruins, the galaxy gathered. Alien leaders, human officers, children, elders, survivors. They lit a beacon of their own, not to call for help, but to remember. A monument was built in the center of the new Unity station. No statue, no weapons, just a tall tower of crystal and metal that played one sound every cycle. A human heartbeat. Steady, strong, eternal. The galaxy changed. Alliances formed. Wars stopped. Curiosity replaced fear. And the story of the Devourers became a lesson passed from parent to child. If you forget who you are, you lose everything. If you remember, you can fight anything. And always, they remembered the human who stood alone at first, then stood for all. But somewhere, in a forgotten corner of space, a small planet spun slowly under a blue star. On its surface, a man walked alone. His clothes were torn. His eyes, calm. He looked at the sky, not with confusion, but with peace. He didn't remember his name, but he remembered a song, and he hummed it softly. A voice whispered in the wind, "You did it." And the man smiled. On a nearby hill, the silver-skinned girl watched him from afar. She said nothing, but in her hand she held the memory cloth. It glowed, just a little. Then she turned away and walked into the rising sun. End of Part 7. The end of the story.